What is the best case scenario for you, just moving forward?
Frankly, I can't say. Not being a lawyer, it's very difficult for me to say. But the purely from a political technician's standpoint, having been here, done that, as far as Philippine politics is concerned, I think it's dead in the water.
Ano po ba ang dahilan kung bakit po sobrang nang na-delay ang impeachment case ni Vice President Sara Duterte? Pero bago po ang lahat, gusto ko muna po kayong batiin. Nandito po tayo uli sa Boy Opinyon TV. Lahat po ng inyong opinyon at komento ay welcome po sa ating YouTube channel. Magandang araw Pilipinas at sa lahat ng Pilipino saan man sa mundo. Marami pong salamat sa ating mga manonood, sa ating mga subscriber. At kung kayo po ay hindi pa nagsusubscribe, please po, pag-subscribe naman. Marami pong salamat. Kagaya nga po ng aking nasabi, ano po ba ang mga dahilan kung bakit na-delay na po ng sobra ito pong impeachment case ni Vice President Sara Duterte? Yan po ay ating bibigyan ng opinion at pag-uusapan. Pero bago po yan, naghain na po o sumagot na po si Vice President Sara Duterte sa summon po na ibinigay ng impeachment court. Ito po, panoorin po natin.
Mula Kamara, dinala na ang sagot ni VP Sara sa writ of summons sa Senate Impeachment Court. Nakaabang doon si Hannah T. para sa kanyang live agenda report. Hannah, kamusta na ang sitwasyon dyan?
Pinky, bago pa mag 6 p.m. kanina, officially na-receive na ng Senate Clerk of Court ang response or reply ni Vice President Sara Duterte doon sa hinaing summons sa kanya nitong nakaraang linggo. At malinaw yung posisyon ni VP Sara, no? Hindi raw valid yung ika-4 na impeachment complaint laban sa kanya. At ang kitawag doon sa isinumiting sagot ng kanyang kampo ay ang answer ad coetelam. Ibig sabihin, ayon kay Senate Secretary Renato Bantug, sumasagot siya sa summons ng Senado out of caution. Hindi pa rin niya kinikilala yung jurisdiction ng Senate Impeachment Court. Ang una dyan ay void ab initio. Ayon dun sa sagot niya, dapat daw i-dismiss agad yung ika-4 na complaint kasi labag daw ito doon sa 1-year bar rule na may kaugnayan doon sa 3 impeachment complaint na una nang naihain ng Kamara nitong nakaraang taon. At matatandaan natin, nitong February 5 ay itong 4th impeachment complaint ang nakarating o naitransmit mula House of Representatives papunta dito sa Senado. At yung pangalawa na posisyon ng kampo ni VP Sara ay wala raw sufficient form o substance itong hinaing impeachment complaint. In the defense panel's terms, no, or words, it is nothing more than a scrap of paper. At matatandaan natin na humaharap sa 7 articles of impeachment si VP Sara, kasama dyan yung culpable violation of the Constitution at graft and corruption. And pangatlo, Pinky, sinama nila doon sa kanilang posisyon yung nangyari sa pag-convene ng impeachment court nitong June 10 dahil sinabi nila na may lack of jurisdiction daw dahil for them, bakit magpapatawag ng trial kung hindi naman daw ito valid from the start? And they also cited doon sa House of Representatives na nangyari nga noong June 10. And also, lastly, no, ay ang pang-4, no due process dahil para sa kanila na violate daw itong right ni VP Sara at wala raw siyang pagkakataong maipagtanggol yung kanyang sarili bago pa man sinulong sa Senado yung impeachment complaint. Pinky.
Hannah, so parang nakatulong pa doon sa cause ng defense yung pag-return to sender na ginawa ng impeachment court o ng mga senador ng kanilang hingin sa House Prosecution Panel or sa House nga na i-certify, number 1, na hindi violate itong 1-year rule at the second one is na makakatawid itong kanilang final na impeachment complaint rather from the 19th to the 20th Congress.
Pinky, katunayan yan din yung sinabi ni outgoing Senate Minority Leader Coco Pimentel na tila in favor pa ito doon sa kampo ng defense o ni VP Sara dahil kung tinanong na lang daw sana ng Senate Impeachment Court itong prosecution sa tungkol doon sa pag-violate umano ng one-year ban rule dahil matatandaan natin yan yung isa sa mga kondisyon ng pagbalik ng impeachment articles sa Kamara, sana walang mangyayaring ganito no, at hindi magagamit ng defense itong punto nila na 18-5 na boto ng senator judges noong June 10. So we've yet to confirm that no sa panig ng depensa or ni VP Sara kung talaga bang nakatulong sa kanila, pero obviously on the paper itself, on the answer ad cautelam itself, it says na ginamit nila itong allegation na ito, affirmative allegation as they put it in paper, na kasama yung 18-5 na boto doon sa dahilan para masabi yung o ma-question yung jurisdiction ng Senate Impeachment Court.
Parang
Pinky.
gano'n na nga lumalabas, Hana. At para lang malinaw, itong ad cautelam, yung proceed, parang lumalabas ang ibig sabihin with caution. Hindi ba nung sila'y nag-submit ng kanilang appearance, yung defense team ni Vice President Sara Duterte, 16 sila, ay meron ding ad cautelam?
Yes, Pinky. Actually, na-mention yan kanina ni Senate Secretary Bantugno. Sabi niya, kasi tinanong natin, ano ba yung difference nung answer ad cautelam doon sa motion to dismiss? And you're right, no, as we can recall, nauna nang nag-file ng entry of appearance ad cautelam itong 16-man defense panel ni VP Sara. At sabi ni nauna nang sinabi ni Senate Impeachment Court spokesperson Reggie Tunggol na kapag sinabing ad cautelam, out of caution dahil nga para sa kanya, meron pa kasing nakabinbin na petisyon sa Korte Suprema kung saan ganun din yung punto ni VP Sara no, na she seeks to nullify the impeachment trial against her and the impeachment complaint rather, and also yun yung dahilan kaya nag-enter sila with caution dito sa Senate Impeachment Court. So it means na they are following the rules ng Senate Impeachment Court but obviously with reservations or with caution, yung katulad nga ng sinabi mo kanina, Pinky.
Parang it appears very consistent, Hana, just to go back to what you said. At para mabalikan din natin yung mga pangyayari. Nung February pa ata sila nag-file, yung defense team ni VP Sara nitong supposedly paglabag, allegedly, ng one-year ban. Pagkatapos ito din, nandyan sa kanilang response doon sa summons ng impeachment court, ay sinasabi nga nila, may violation ng one-year rule, And then, also cited itong ang pagbalik ng impeachment court sa House dahil nga gusto nila ma-certify na walang violation nitong one-year rule. So sa lahat, Hana, lumalabas talaga itong question at magandang malaman kung anong magiging siguro desisyon, especially ng Korte Suprema hinggil dito. Maraming salamat sa iyong oras, Hana T. Live mula sa Senado.
Yan po yung balita na dumating na daw po sa Kongreso, sa Senado, sa impeachment court, yung sagot po sa summon ni Vice President Sara Duterte. Ngayon po, nandun nga po na pinapawalang sala po nila yung sa Article 4 ng impeachment. Well, para po sa akin, mga opinion, okay lang po yan. Kaya nga po, niremand, di ba? Tinatanong po nila, at mini-make sure naman po ng kampo ng defense ni Vice President Sara Duterte kung ito po talaga ay certified na hindi po nalabag yung one-year ban. So, okay lang po yun. Understood naman po yun na yun po yung talagang gagawin ng depensa. And then yung palagi pong sinasabi ng House Prosecutor spokesperson na si Attorney Antonio Bukoy, yung ginagamit niya po kasi yung salitang ad cautelam na yan, yung caution. Well, ginagamit niya po yan against po dito sa kampo po ng depensa, Kasi po, hindi po nila matanggap na nag-file po ng petition ito pong si Vice President Sara Duterte dyan po sa Supreme Court. Ngayon po, para po wala pong malabag na batas o wala pong malabag na impeachment court rules. Kaya po nila ginagamit yan. Yan po taliwas dun sa sinasabi po ni Attorney Antonio Bukoy na pwede naman dire-diretso na lang, huwag na kayong gumamit ng ganyan. So, para po sa depensa, nag-iingat lang po sila. Yun po yan. Pero yun nga po, ang paliwanag po nila, hindi ho maganda regarding dyan. Bakit pa kayo magaganyan? Pwede namang sagutin ng Vice Presidente yan na dire-diretso na lang, mag-trial na lang tayo. Hindi po kasi ganoon. Kasi nga po, nag-file lang nga po sila ng motion sa Supreme Court. So, kasi nga po, sa nakikita po nila, noong February pa po, may paglabag na po doon sa impeachment na ipinail po ng House. Yun po yan. Ngayon naman po, aantayin na lang po natin, kagaya nga po ng sabi ni Ms. Pinky Rim, aantayin na lang po natin kung ano po ang magiging sagot ng Supreme Court. At kung ano po ba ang mangyayari o kung tuloy-tuloy po na po ba yung trial o kung ano po. Actually po, mga opinion, matagal pa po itong process na to. Wala pa po tayo dun sa kung ito ba tatawid. Pagdidipatihan pa po yan. Kagaya nga po nung mga nasabi nung gaya po sabi ni Senator-elect Rodante Marcoleta, matagal po na debate na pag-uusapan ba kung ito po ba itatawid at kung may jurisdiction po ba yung 20th Congress. Pero nandiyan po yung aking video regarding po dyan kung ito po ay tatawid o hindi. No? Kasi nga po, wala nga po sa Constitution natin yung salitang crossover. So marami pa po yan, matagal pa po yan. So either kung matutuloy po yung impeachment case ni Vice President Sara Duterte, either po, siguro hindi po tayo nagkakamali, no? Either po, second week po ng August o third week po ng August yan. Kung ganun po yung mangyayari. Kaya naman po, tungo naman po tayo sa ating pangalawang pag-uusapan. Ito pong bakit po ba sobrang talagang na-delay ito pong impeachment case o impeachment trial ni Vice President Sara Duterte. At ipapaliwanag din po ni Ginoong Lito Banayo, isa po siyang political strategist kung yung mga nangyari po ngayon at yung pagsagot po ni Vice President Sara Duterte nung kanya pong summon. Ito po, panoorin po natin.
The Senate and House of Representatives received today Vice President Sara Duterte's response to the writ of summons issued by the impeachment court. In her ad cotelum, the Vice President seeks the dismissal of the fourth impeachment complaint filed against her. Through her counsel, the Vice President insists the complaint violated the one-year bar rule under the 1987 Constitution, which prohibits the filing of more than one impeachment complaint against the same official within a year. Let's get on point with political strategist Lito Banayo. Mr. Banayo, welcome to the show. Good to see you again.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
It's very interesting to talk about this right now because very timely, this is the 10th day by which the Vice President should have answered the summon issued by the impeachment court last June 11, I believe. June 10 or June 11? June 11. So sabi nga nila, what could have happened if the defense team or the Vice President's team does not answer the summon issued by the impeachment court? But because she did, we are here now. What did you think of the response? The ad cotelum.
I think it's correct legal strategy on the part of the defense team, no, of Vice President Sara. But not being a lawyer, I'm not here to talk about the legal implications. I would only think that this is wise political strategy, or tactic. Hindi naman strategy. It's a very wise political tactic, because at the end of the day, the House is given 5 days to respond to the response of the response of the Vice President for the summons, no, which ends June 30. No? And by June 30, the 19th Congress is functus officio. So you're throwing it to the 20th Congress. So whether you like it or not, it's back to the House of the 20th Congress. No?
Let's talk about that. There's something you actually said that was very important. Was it wise, you said, a good strategy coming from the defense team? They were really forced at this particular timeline. In other words, if the Senate Impeachment Court did not decide to issue the summons last June 11, hindi naman po makakarating dito sa
June,
date na to eh. If Senate President Chis Escudero had stuck to his earlier pronouncement that they would do it June 2, hindi tayo aabot dun sa sinasabi
June
niyo.
30.
Yeah, June 30 na 20th Congress. So, sino ho yung wise dito?
Well, let's say that for a politician, Chis Escudero knows his politics very well. No? And all the histrionics that happened in the Senate on June 11, no? Pati yun hindi expected eh, no? 'Di ba? Yung they would immediately convene, they would don the robes on June 11, no? And all that because they were expecting it on the 13th pa, no? All of this looks like a pre-planned thing, no? And I must say it's a political masterstroke. The legality of which the Supreme Court will have to decide upon sooner, hopefully, than later.
A masterstroke by whom? Just the Senate President?
Well, it could have been Alan Cayetano who proposed the remanding of the impeachment articles to the House, and Senate President Chis Escudero, and then a small group there talked about it, and it looked like a good idea.
But to you, was it obvious that it was discussed, that this was going to happen, that this was going to be the date,
I would think so,
that
because
this is going to be the motion?
yeah, because these two are very bright lawyers.
And you're referring to Alan Cayetano
Alan and Chis.
and Chis Escudero. So you talked about, just to give the viewers a little bit of a background, so today was the last day, and then the House has 5 days, the House Prosecution Panel has 5 days to respond to this, which would actually fall on June 28, Saturday.
Yeah.
Ibig sabihin po nun ay papatak po yun dun sa next
Working day,
Working
which
day.
is the 30th.
which is June 30,
Which is
Monday.
when the 19th Congress becomes functus officio.
So what happens? Done?
It will be up to the 20th Congress. Now, what I also don't understand on the part of the House is why they had to send the committee report of the public accountability, which impacts on 2 articles of impeachment, to the Ombudsman. It looked like they were forum shopping. No? While that is done, no, one, there must be an author. Someone should file a case with the Ombudsman under normal circumstances. And secondly, it even had that cover letter or transmittal letter signed by the Secretary General of the House of Representatives. So it gives it official imprimatur, bale, no? So what did they expect the Ombudsman to do, no? Given also the fact that the Ombudsman will only be until, I think, July 26 or 27, because he has to retire
But he
that
asked the
time.
Vice President's camp to respond within 10 days
no?
dito sa ginawa ng House.
Well, I can understand what Ombudsman Martires did. Parang wala naman ako hinihingi sa inyo, bigla nyo tinapon sa akin itong bola. O sige, pasagutin ko sila, no?
But that's happened in the past. In a number of hearings, di ba, that they say that it's up to the Ombudsman.
They always do. But what happens there is the Senate submits its findings
yes.
to the Ombudsman and asks for further investigation, no? And if further investigation warrants looks like there is probable cause, then there is another preliminary investigation.
Yeah.
No? I've seen that happen in the Ombudsman in the past. No? So, wala rin. No? We'll have to wait again for the next Ombudsman. No?
And that we'll have to find out who that will. But let's talk about, so pagdating po ng Monday, sabihin natin sumagot ang House. That's the end of the 19th Congress. So for all of us interested, watching, we all just
We'll be
wait
in
and see.
limbo until July 28.
Yeah, because can anything, I know we're not lawyers here, but what is
Nothing.
your, nothing can
will
happen.
No. We'll have to, talk shows for 4 weeks until the SONA and until who is going to be the new House Speaker or the new Senate President.
Or they remain the same.
Or they remain the same.
Is it possible, do you think, hard to guess, I'm sure, but there is, of course, a question before the Supreme Court on the one-year prohibition, the camp of the Vice President questioning what the House did. Ano po. We can also think that there might be a decision by the Supreme Court on this.
Well, there is already a pending case, no, filed by
Yes.
some of the lawyers. I don't know if I don't think they are the lawyers representing Vice President Sara
I think
Duterte.
it's the same.
Is it the same?
What I understand, it's the same for Tun.
So they
Hermasa.
filed the case in the Supreme Court. It's still pending without any decision. Now they're forcing the issue. No? Because at the end of the day, the House and the Senate cannot agree. That the House of the 20th Congress and the Senate of the 20th Congress cannot agree, no, on the one-year ban. Then the Supreme Court has to wade in and make a decision.
Even if Sir Lito, the trial proceeds, for example, or it doesn't proceed, for example, there has to be a ruling coming from the Supreme Court. Because we all have to be enlightened on this. When, kailan ho ba pumapatak yung at nag-e-end yung one-year prohibition on an impeachable officer? And I guess also it'll somehow delve into how the House really passed the fourth impeachment complaint if they violated another part of the
first, second, and third, which was supposed to be transmitted to the Committee on Justice. Well, first to the Committee on Rules and later to the Committee on Justice for 10 days.
Yeah.
They sat on it, no? The Secretary General, who I'm sure did not do it on his own, no? It's beyond his pay grade, sat on it for 2 months almost, no? February 5 na ba yung ano?
December 2 po yung unang impeachment
Tapos February 5 na yung ano, yung 215 signatories within an 8-hour period, no?
Right.
Which also brings us to ask whether or not they even read the articles of impeachment. No, because, you know,
But that would be hard to prove. But
Yes,
I
of
guess there are two things that come to mind. Number one is a clear understanding of this one-year rule. And then yung nakasulat po sa 1987 Constitution, I believe the impeachment complaint must be included in the order of business within 10 session days. I think the important words there are session days. Because from my understanding and what I've been asking is that ang session po ay Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Kaya lang sa pagkaintindi ko, Sir Lito, kapag nag-suspend kayo ng, kunwari, Monday, nag-suspend ka rin ng Tuesday, hindi po yun kinakount na session day because it was suspended. So if it is journaled, supposed to be on the third day, let's say Wednesday, yun po yung one session day. That's what I was told. Would you know anything about that?
Well, I think we'd have to leave that to the lawyers, no? But ang problema nga kasi is the way I look at it, and let's face it, all impeachment cases filed against from ERAP to Corona, no? And even Mercy Gutierrez, of course, resigned before the court convened, no? All of these are really motivated not necessarily by the issue at hand, by the politics at the back of it, no? So, ang nangyayari dito, there has been a very concerted demolition campaign against the probable winner in 2028, which is Vice President Sara Duterte. But it was either they were clouded by the desire to do her in politically, no? Or they simply did not have a grand strategic plan on how to do it. Kasi parang reactionary yung mga moves eh, no? So now it goes to the Senate court, no? And the senators are also looking at ways and means by which they can protect their political interests in 2028, no? For instance, if the impeachment trial started forthwith, as the lawyers say,
in the Constitution,
right after February 5, no? I think the results would also have been if they expedited the trial, Sara would also be acquitted. Because you have 7 senatorial re-electionists, no? And they would always need the Mindanao and half of the Visayas vote. So how would they vote? No? It's really political. So she would have also been acquitted. But now they prolonged it, no? And here comes the 20th Congress. For all you know, we will be in limbo, both the Senate impeachment court and the House of Representatives of the 20th Congress, and wait for the Supreme Court to make a decision.
Do you think it'll proceed in the 20th Congress?
I cannot say that right now, no? But the results of the elections in 2025, the recent May elections, may have made congressmen themselves thinking about
Their political
their
future.
political interests. And the sad part about this, Pinky, is there are more pressing economic, social and economic problems that we
Fair
have
enough.
to consider.
Yeah,
no?
but
You have
that's-
Iran and Israel. I
Yeah.
mean, we were very happy that inflation tapered down to 1.3, 1.7%, no? But now it's going to shoot up again because of the price of oil, no? And that happened in summer when all the harvests come in. Now we're into the rainy season. If there's a strong typhoon, I don't know how they're going to finance the 20 peso per kilo rice.
That's, that's fair enough to say that there are other pressing problems. But on the flip side, there is a particular section in the 1987 Constitution on impeachment. Kaya nga hiniwala yun dahil it is as important, or maybe, because there are two things here. I think it was Senator Bongo who said hindi naman nakakain yung impeachment. Meron pong ganong train of thought, hindi ho ba? But then you have a Senate Minority Leader Coco Pimentel saying hindi naman lahat kailangan tangible. Nandyan din ang hustisya, etc.
Yeah.
So, dalawa po yun. And then some will argue that that's the reason why there's a particular chapter or article in the 1987 Constitution on impeachment.
Yes, that's why I said earlier that I'm not here to talk about the legal aspect,
Yeah.
nor to make a moral judgment, no? Because if we look at moral judgments, hey, how many senators were charged with far graver crimes, no? How many cabinet members have been charged and they're still there, have been charged within a policy scam? Or take, for instance, a 23 billion claim on the estate of the late President Ferdinand Marcos, with the administrator being the president himself, no? That's 23 billion versus 612.5 million. Ang dami eh. But the institutions nga, the democratic institutions, have to be strengthened. Unfortunately, they're also being used by politicians for their political interests rather than actual
here's the
accountability.
Thing. How can that be fixed? Because we can talk about this endlessly, and we also have to admit that impeachment is a political exercise.
Yes.
And you have senator judges who take their oath, who say that, diba, they will be
impartial.
Exactly. And yet we know that there would be biased or impartial senator judges. How can a situation, I guess, like this be fixed when you have an impeachment wherein the framers of the 1987 Constitution, I'm sure, were they were pure in thinking and finding ways to be able to hold officials accountable?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why at the end of the day, I think it's a legal and moral conundrum on the part of the Supreme Court. Because they're the final arbiter. They're the ones who they call them the gods of Padre Faura, di ba? Sabi ni Senator Frank Trilon, no? Ganun talaga yon. They have to
They have to
I
decide
don't
on
think
this.
why it's also taking them so much time, no?
What would you want to be cleared up for you?
The 1-year ban.
Okay. How about the forthwith?
The forthwith, I think, that should have been immediate, no? As far as as a layman, no, I would say that. But then again, Senate President Chis Escudero may have had an excuse because it was the campaign.
Right.
That's another thing that should have been taken into consideration, no? A campaign was forthcoming.
Siguro it will also be interesting, but I don't know if it's part of the pleading or the petition rather, because there's also a petition on the forthwith, hindi ho ba? So I wonder if that will be decided on by the Supreme Court and actually really make it clear to us forthwith, and would it include conditions or situations wherein there is a midterm or
they should. I think they should.
national
No?
election?
For future purposes, they should. For posterity, that has to be clarified.
What is the best case scenario for you, just moving forward?
Frankly, I can't say. Not being a lawyer, it's very difficult for me to say. But the purely from a political technician's standpoint, having been here, done that, as far as Philippine politics is concerned, I think it's dead in the water.
You said a while ago it could have been dead already had it happened sometime in February.
Yes.
So it could have been dead back then, and you're saying right now your analysis is it's also dead.
Dead in the water.
If the president says he was never really for impeachment to begin with, is that something that I guess you believe in?
Well, that's an excuse for the House of the 20th Congress to now say the president doesn't believe in impeachment. Now, even if many of them were re-elected, no?
I think, yeah, 80% of them were re-elected.
No. I think about 60, about two-thirds of them were re-elected. Kasi maraming party list na nawala na out of contention, thank God, no? I mean, they're no longer part of Congress, no? So, mga 60%, 65% yung...
Is that so?
But they can always change their mind. And they always change their mind anyway.
And do you think that is why the Senate wanted to return it to the House to see that, well, number one, your certification that the one-year rule was not violated, and number two, that the same people still have that same sentiment to pursue this impeachment case against the Vice President?
But that's why I called it a political masterstroke on the part of the Senate. So you throw the problem back to them.
Mm-hmm. But I guess to end this particular conversation, this subject, the House, what did you think of the House deferring the acceptance of that certification being asked by the Senate Impeachment Court?
Well, by deferring, they also pushed it to the 20th Congress. Diba?
Yeah. So ganun din.
Ganun din.
All right. So we're gonna see, sabi mo nga, by June 30, we're all just gonna sit and maybe talk about this, or wait until after the State of the Nation address of the President.
Yan po yung naging pahayag ni political analyst o political strategist o political tactician na si Lito Banayo. Masabi nga po niya dyan na kaya po yan na push through dahil po yung mga ambisyon po ng mga senador, mga kongresista, nung dadating po yung eleksyon. Pwede naman po nilang ginawa yan, yun nga po, mamamatay po o ma-acquit po si Vice President Sara Duterte kasi nga po sa personal na interest ng mga tatakbo o yung mga re-electionist na senador. Ngayon po, pinaliwanag din niya po na pagpasok daw po ng 20th Congress, hindi pa po sigurado kung yan nga po, kagaya nga po nasabi ko, pagdidipatihan pa, o ano po ang magiging stand nila kung ito po kasi po, ang politika po sa atin, aminin man po natin at hindi, lalo yan pabago-bago. Diyan po papasok yung sinasabi po ni Ginoong Ted Pailon, na pag po naging lame duck itong presidente, yung kongreso po, yung mga nasa kongreso, at yung nasa Senado, maghahanap na po yan ng sino ang susuporta nila sa 2020 election. So, kagaya nga po ng nasabi niya, kaya po yan tumagal, sa pangsariling kapakanan din po ng mga tatakbo. Ako po, naniniwala, yan po sinadya. Bakit po? Kasi po, nilast day po siya ng Kongreso. Ngayon, ipinasa po sa Senado. Siyempre po, ito pong mga nasa Senado, yung mga tumatakbo po bilang senador o re-electionist na senador, siyempre po, maghuhugas kamay yan. Ibig po sabihin maghuhugas kamay, ayaw mo nilang gumawa ng krimen na ikakasira po ng kanilang kinabukasan. Yun po yung ibig ko sabihin. Kaya ho yan tumagal. No? Ganun din po itong mga nasa Kongreso. Kung mapapansin po natin mga opinyon, ito po, ang mga, nakita nyo, isang example ko na lang po, tingnan po natin, tumakbo po siya, yung kapatid po ni Claire Castro, si Representative Franz Castro, tumakbo po siyang senador, di ba? Pero po, nung February, hanggang nung natalo po siya, hanggang po nung matapos po yung eleksyon, wala po siyang sinasabi regarding dyan sa impeachment case na madidelay o kung paano. Kasi po alam naman nila yun na itong impeachment gagawin po ng June 2, kakapusin talaga sila sa oras. Kasi nga po, magtatapos po yung 19th Congress ng June 30. So hindi po ako naniniwala na hindi po nila alam yan. Di ba po? Lahat po sila alam yan. Kaya po sila play safe po nung since February. Kasi nga po, eleksyon na, kampanya. Di ba po? Kung pwede naman nung sana nilang gawin yan, pero hindi nila ginawa. Kasi nga, pwede naman nung sila mag-special session Pero yun nga po, inilaban po yan ng, yun po yung naging parang isang depensa po ng Vice Presidente sa sabon niya. Di ba po? Kasi parang pinatagal, tapos ngayon minamadali. So, isa ho yan sa mga ginawa po nilang depensa. Ngayon, ang hindi ko dito maintindihan, ako lang, magbibigay lang ako ng opinion ko regarding dito. Ito ang nasa House of Representatives. Meron po silang spokesperson para sa House, may spokesperson po sila para sa prosecution. Pero po, yung mga prosecution din po, nagsasalita. So parang hindi po sila nagkukulab pare-parehas. Parang wala po silang collaboration na isang bagay na lang po yung sasabihin nila. So kung papansin ninyo, labo-labo sila. Parang wala po silang matibay na ito lang ang gagawin natin, ito lang ang sasabihin natin. Yung ganun ba? Parang kagaya nga po ng sabi ni Ginoong Lito Banayo, ang nangyari po dito sa impeachment, sinayaw na lang po nila kung ano man yung tugtog. Yung piniplay po ng DJ. Ganun na lang po ang nangyari. Di ba? Pero nga, sana kagaya nga po ng gusto natin at gusto ni Vice President Sara Duterte, kung magkakaroon ng trial, magkaroon ng bloodbath. Kasi nga ako naniniwala, meron po siyang mga pinanghahawakang ebidensya. At hindi rin po, kagaya din niya po ng sabi ni Ginoong Lito Banayo, ito pong impeachment, dead na raw po dead on water. Kumbaga sa patay na. Di ba? Pero malalaman natin yan. Di ba nga wala natin ito, di ba? Yun nga lang kagaya nga po ng sabi niya, ito isang political agenda. Kasi nga po, ayaw talaga nilang maupo o makaupo o mahalal bilang presidente po itong si Vice President Sara Duterte sa taon 2028. Yun lang po yan. Pero kayo po, mga opinion, ano po ang masasabi nyo regarding po dito kung bakit po tumagal o yung pagsagot po ni Vice President dun sa summon po ng impeachment court, yung pag-orchestrate po ni Senate President Chis Escudero sa impeachment, ano po ang masasabi niyan? Paki-comment niya po sa baba at babasahin po natin lahat yan. Muli po, mga opinyon, ako po ay nagpapasalamat sa ating mga manonood, sa ating mga subscribers, at kung kayo po ay hindi pa nagsusubscribe, please po, pakisubscribe naman. Sige po, mga opinyon, God bless you all.